Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you are. My name is Mr. Polar12, and in my 19 years of life, I have played a multitude of games. Some were really good, and some were so bad they shouldn't even be considered games. In my search for good games to play, I learned that Epic Games was just giving away a new game or new games every month, and for 2ish years, I have been accumulating those free games. At first, it was just a couple, then it was 50, and then 100. And now it's at 200 games. 200 games that were just sitting in my library untouched until I decided to play one game from my library every day from Monday till Friday. I call this the quest for some epic games. Every day I will download a new game from the Epic library. I will give the game at the very least 2 hours, if it's bad enough, or a really simple or short game, less than 2 hours. And at the end, I will rate and judge the game based on certain criterias. How hard the game's OST slaps and how good their sound design is. How good the game looks to me, personally. A good game can have good graphics, but I might not like the aesthetics. The originality and creativity of story and gameplay, and how good the gameplay experience feels overall. So join me on my quest for epic games. Also, I stream live almost every day, so come join me. I'll pin the live stream details in the comments below. So on the first day of this thing, I first decided how I was going to tackle this challenge, whether I go A to Z or Z to A. I ended up deciding to go Z to A, which is why I started out with the game Yooka-Laylee. Yooka-Laylee is an adventure 3D platformer, and if I were to liken it to something, it would be to Super Mario Odyssey. But if compared to Super Mario Odyssey, it feels mediocre at best. Let's start with the music. It's pretty decent. It's not grating to the ears and it's not too boring. I think it does its job well enough in setting the atmosphere for each zone and for the overall game. The only thing is that when you've been in one zone for too long, it sets a sort of dull lull that kind of makes you feel a little tired. The sound effects and sound design in the game is decent too. There's only two things I hated about the sound design. Was the first one being Yuka's voice when he's talking. Uh, it's actually quite annoying to listen to. I'll give you an example. And the other thing I have, that I didn't like about the sound design was that sometimes the music gets louder in random parts of the map. I don't really blame them for that. That might just be something they overlooked. So I won't really take too much points off for that. But if you're gonna play, I suggest you lower the voice volume and the music volume a little bit. But for the overall like bops and boops of the game, I give it like a 6.25 out of 10 rating. The overall aesthetic of the game is mediocre. No characters really popped out to me, and ukulele looked like cheap plastic toys you get from the markets in the Philippines. The level design is decent, but the book world feels empty in certain areas, and they feel like they're missing, I don't know, something to them. In my opinion, I don't know. When I was exploring it, I just felt like it was a little bit empty. The enemies all look the same. Uh, and there wasn't any real diversity to the enemies. You were kind of fighting the same goblin looking thing the whole time. So kind of didn't like that about the game. Um, and a lot of the characters look like side characters that come up for one episode in a kids cartoon. So that's why, based on just the aesthetic and design, I would give it a 5 out of 10. Now on to the originality. Originality, my bad. The story sounds like the plot of a kids cartoon. The villain is trying to take over the world by stealing all the books and reselling them, while also looking for the most powerful book in the world that will let them do whatever they want. The heroes coincidentally get their hand get their hands on the book, and then it's stolen from them by the villain's machine, and that's why they get involved. Um, it's like a pretty standard like episode in a kids cartoon. I feel like um, nothing really special, nothing that really hit me in the heart or anything. Um, so there's that's nothing really that original to the story. There's no new gameplay concepts that are added. Like there's nothing new that it adds to gameplay. You just have your standard platformer moves, and then they have some that are different, like based on ukulele, but um, compared to like other platformers and stuff, it's just nothing new. The progression feels all the same as like a standard platformer. So just overall, the rating on the originality is a 4 out of 10 for me. Gameplay, the gameplay, I feel is pretty lacking. I feel like there wasn't enough satisfaction in spinning into the same enemy over and over again and having almost nothing to spin into and break. The collectibles, it just felt very easy to collect, and they weren't really that satisfying to get. Um, the camera controls, they're really jank sometimes, um, and it's pretty annoying. Like in Dark Souls, camera jank is bad enough when you only have to stay on the ground, um, have just having to dodge, but camera jank in a platformer is really messed up because trying to do a difficult jump, it's just made extremely hard if the camera isn't like cooperating with you. Um, Also, maybe it's just me, but after running around the first world once, it got boring afterwards. Like it wasn't that exciting to explore after I ran around once around the island. So, um, especially when you're in your flower form. The flower form is like a really slow form. Its jumping sucks, and its boing sound effects are really grating, especially after 3 minutes of being in the flower form. The sliding surfaces are pretty janky sometimes, especially when you can get stuck on a sliding plane because there's like something covering it and stuff. Um, Other than that, um, the only thing I didn't, the another thing I didn't like about it is that there isn't really any like bosses to fight or like any like special things to do. Like no big puzzles or anything like that. The only like big thing that you have to go through, big in quotation marks, is the quiz that you had to go through after the first world. And I thought that was, just kind of weird that you have to go through a quiz in a game, you know. And it's just a quiz about the first world too. Um, but overall, the rating I would give Ukulele would be a 5.5 out of 10. The game Ukulele is a decent platformer, but it is quite targeted to children, I feel like. Um, uh, I think that it would be a nice platformer to play every once in a while, but I don't think I'd recommend buying it unless it's for a kid, you know. Unless a kid like really wanted it, but um, I think for free it's worth it. But if you're gonna pay for like the full price, I just don't know. I don't think it would be worth to buy. I wouldn't recommend it. Uh, but yeah, the whole game overall would get like a 5.5 out of 10 for me. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you guys liked that video. I will be doing more of these, and I will try to get a video at least once a week, of like, or maybe like thrice a week of the Epic Games quest, the quest for Epic Games. I will try to do that, but if I don't, you know, if I don't get any of the videos out and stuff, please come join me in my stream. Again, I stream almost every day, Monday till Sunday. Actually, Monday till Saturday. I stream almost every day. I'd like to have more people to talk to. It'd be nice. And yeah, I'll put my stream link in the comments. Hopefully, I can do that. But anyways, peace. Thanks for watching.